All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in this world it is that you are. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayers live page by page reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. So I just finished doing a stream over on another project of mine that really revolved around a group of people that don't believe in anything. They don't believe in God, they don't believe in Satan, they don't believe in themselves. I mean, I can't imagine living such an existence, but I figured being that I just finished that stream and I'm already awake, I'm already, set up to do an audio stream, I might as well continue with what matters. And this is what matters, reading the Bible. I've really enjoyed reading the story of David. I really have. I'm really glad I embarked on this journey. Um, Not just because it's something to do, but because this has been a project that's really fed my spirit. It's taught me a lot about just human nature, because that's what the Bible is. It's a guidebook as to how people think. Um, I'd always really wondered what details about the Old Testament were in the Old Testament, and I'm learning that now. So let's go ahead and continue with the story of David. Again, this is the second book of Samuel, chapter 12. Nathan rebukes David. Let's see what that's about. The Lord sent Nathan to David. He came to him and said, there were two men in a certain city. One was wealthy, but the other was poor. The wealthy man had a very large flock and herd, but the poor man had nothing except a single small ewe lamb that he had acquired. He nourished it and raised it together with himself and his sons. From his crumbs it would eat, from his cup it would drink, and in his arms it would lie. It was like a daughter to him. There came a visitor to the wealthy man, but he was unwilling to take from his own flock or herd to prepare a meal for the wanderer who had come to him. Instead, he took the poor man's ewe lamb and prepared food for the wanderer who had come to him. David became very angry because of this man. He said to Nathan, as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die. Hmm. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing and because he had no pity. Then Nathan told David, you are this man. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I anointed you as king over Israel, and I rescued you from the hand of Saul. I gave to you your master's house and your master's wives into your arms, and I gave to you the house of Israel and Judah. If this were too little, I would have continued to do for you much more. Why have you despised the word of the Lord by doing evil in his sight? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and you took his wife as a wife for yourself. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now the sword will never depart from your house, because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says the Lord, behold, I will raise up trouble against you from within your own house. I will take your wives before your eyes, and I will give them to your neighbor, and he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. Although you did it secretly, I will do this thing before all of Israel and under the sun. Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan said to David, now the Lord has put away your sin. you shall not die. Nevertheless, because by this deed you have utterly scorned the Lord, the child who is born to you shall die. And see, this is actually an excellent chapter of the Bible for parents to read. It really is. Because one of the lessons in this chapter is you have to be careful what you do. Because sometimes things that you do will end up befalling upon your child or children. I don't think a lot of parents nowadays quite understand that. Mm-mm. What I think a lot of, especially modern Christians, need to keep in mind is that Christianity is not only about the New Testament. Christianity is very much so about the Old Testament. So I guess it's just one of those things. Anyway, let's continue. Then Nathan went to his house. The Lord struck the child that the wife of Uriah bore to David, and it became very ill. David entreated God on behalf of the child. He fasted for a period, and he would go in and lie throughout the night on the ground. The elders of his house stood beside him to rouse him from the ground, but he was not willing, nor would he consume food with them. The child died on the seventh day, and the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child had died. They said, "Behold, while the child was yet alive, we would speak to him, but he would not acknowledge our voices. Now how can we say to him, 'The child is dead'? He may do harm." When David noticed that his servants were whispering to one another, he perceived that the child was dead. So he asked his servants, "Is the child dead?" They said, "He is dead." So David arose from the ground, washed, anointed himself, and changed his garments. Then he entered the house of the Lord and worshipped. He then went into his own house. When he asked, they set down food for him and ate. Or when he asked, they set down food for him and ate. His servants said to him, "What is this thing you have done? You fasted and wept for the sake of the living child, but when the child died, you arose and ate food." He explained, "As long as the child was alive, I fasted and wept because I thought, 'Who knows? The Lord may be gracious to me, so that the child may live.' But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Am I able to bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me." Hmm. The birth of Solomon. And before we get into the birth of Solomon, this is an instance of someone essentially losing faith, what David's going through here, and being angry with God because of someone that he cared about dying. I think a lot of times when you hear people curse God or when they say God doesn't exist, it's because they suffered a great loss. For me, dealing with death this year has increased my faith, and it's brought me closer to God, closer to Jesus Christ. For that, I'm grateful. All right, now we're going to get into the birth of Solomon. Then David comforted Bathsheba, his wife. He went to her and lay with her so that she conceived a son. They named him Solomon, and the Lord loved him. So he sent a word by the way of the prophet Nathan that he should be named Jedidiah for the sake of the Lord. Now Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and assumed control of the royal city. So Joab sent messengers to David and reported, I have fought against Rabbah, and I have occupied the water supply of the city. Now gather the remainder of the people, lay siege to the city and take it. Otherwise, I myself will capture the city, and it will be called by my name. So David gathered all of the people, and they went to Rabbah, fought against it, and took it. David took the crown of their king from his head, and its weight was a talent of gold and precious stone. It was placed upon the head of David. He brought out large quantities of plunder from the city. He brought out the people who were in it, but he put them to work with saws and iron picks and iron axes, and sent them to work in the brick kiln. He did to all of the cities of the Ammonites, or thus he did to all of the cities of the Ammonites. Then David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. All right, so that's the end of the second book of Samuel, chapter 12. Tomorrow we'll go into the second book of Samuel, chapter 13. Have a good night. Bye-bye.